The link.
I have shared it to you on WhatsApp.
Okay, 1 second. Just hold on. Got it. Just putting it online. 2 minutes. One done. Doing the next one. Yeah, it's done. Now the next one. Just give me 2 minutes. Updating link tree. 1 minute. Yeah, all done.
All right. I have 5 to 6 parents watching us who are waiting very patiently, and thank you so much for waiting for us. And actually, we can start the live session now.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Should I switch on the video?
yeah, sure.
All right. Hi.
So yeah, hi.
Hi,
Let's
Ankur.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hello and welcome everyone to today's live session, which is from Dabhai to Best Friends Forever. Amazing name suggested by Anik himself. It's about growing together with Jijo. I am Ankur, your host from Nayi Disha, and we are here to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day, observed on March 21st. This day highlights the uniqueness of individuals with Down syndrome, symbolizing the triplication of the 21st chromosome. For the people who are new here, I would just inform them it's a reminder to celebrate inclusion, acceptance, and incredible bonds that we share with people with Down syndrome, whether we are the caregivers, whether they are our siblings, our sons, our daughters, our family members, somebody we know in our society, everyone. Joining us today is a very, very special guest, Aniket Das. He's a very proud and loving brother to Jijo Das, who is also known by his very famous brand name, which is Art of My Optimus. You guys can go follow him on Instagram as well. Brief, intro to what Aniket Das does, and he is. So, Aniket Das is a motorcycle designer, a good one at that, an amazing motorcycle designer. I have been following him since a
Thank
very
you.
long time, and he is a motorcycle designer at Ultraviolet Automotive. I believe I pronounced it right.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a brother, a tutor, mentor, and a manager to his brother with an extra chromosome, who is Jijo Das. It's Aniket's life's mission to help Jijo make a living out of what he loves the most, and just like him, whatever he loves the most, he can do in his life. From educating Jijo in art and design from the day to day, he spoke about his dream, to now working together at Ultraviolet Automobiles. And their motto is basically this: whatever they do, they never have that thing in mind that this can't be done. That's never their answer. So our aim through this session is to empower and inspire caregivers and siblings to showcase them Aniketa's journey of supporting his brother Jijo. We hope you find this session insightful, and a very warm welcome again to Aniketa for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you,
I
Uncle.
I,
And yeah.
I believe the intro was right.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. I think you've you've given everything in superlative. So it's good to hear, because I'm just very used to talking about Jijo,
Right, right.
and people talking about Jijo. But one conversation, and you were so interested to know about me, and I never knew about, like, that there are NGOs that actually care, or talk about or help caregivers,
Right,
because
yeah.
there's just so much care and nourishment and everything that goes around for your younger sibling, that
Exactly,
you
yeah.
kind of forget that, that there are caregivers who need help as well. So
Definitely they do, yeah.
thanks to you, and the more I learned about you, the more inspired I was with how you had no connection with any having any relative or any friend with special needs, but it was your decision to be in this field and help out, and have such a nice initiative. To hats off to you for
Thanks a
doing
lot,
this.
Aniket.
Yeah, it
Thanks a
means a
lot for
lot
your
to
words.
have this whole thing recognized by someone like you and Nayi Disha. Uh, Really good name as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that with so many things, like I recently found out there's a siblings group as well, and so
Yes,
there are so many little things which are great support systems to start
right.
with.
Yeah.
And you guys
And
are really
yeah,
doing a great job in putting the information out there and letting so many more parents know about good examples, trial and errors, because no one knows the way. We're just trying to figure it out.
exactly. Everybody is trying to figure it out. And that's
Yeah,
been our motto, being a lifelong partner to all caregivers.
yeah,
So actually, we should start by a very lovely icebreaker. If Jijo had to introduce you right now,
yeah.
in one sentence, what would he say?
So I actually asked him the question,
Yeah,
and because I didn't want to make anything up, and
definitely. Yeah.
he told me what he always tells me when he's really when he's really happy, and he wants to tell me that how much I mean to him. So he said, "You're going to say that Dabhai is my hero and my best friend forever." So,
Awesome.
and yeah, so he had many sentences. So it was one of which was Dava is my hero. Then there's you're my best friend forever. And then he says that you also say that you're the best brother in the world. So there are a lot of superlatives. Jijo is a very kind human being, and when it comes to appreciation, he makes you feel like he sees everything and he understands everything, and he appreciates every little thing that you do for him. So yeah, I couldn't have a better brother in my life, honestly.
That actually reminds me to go and appreciate my sister. You see, that is not something that goes on in our daily conversations. We don't appreciate each other that much, but it's really, really important.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So let's start discussing about Jijo's journey and your journey as a sibling.
sure.
How did you come up and discover Jijo's interests? He has multiple interests. For
Yeah,
those who are
yeah.
following Art of My Optimist, they would know. But for the audience here, if you could just talk about that, how did you come and discover Jijo's interests?
So, um, so for people who are new to Art of My Optimist, it's the brand that Jijo represents with his work, and where he is an artist, an illustrator, a photographer, and a drummer. So sometimes I kind of, uh, talk about it like, here I'm trying to do one thing properly, and this guy is doing four things together, and making my life difficult managing the rock
Right.
star. So, but the rock star doesn't stop. He just goes on because he's so creatively bent towards each of the things that he does, and and that is one of the main reasons why I find him to be the most inspiring person in my life. Yes, there are many more people who I look up to, but I can't find anyone who is as inspiring as my younger brother. And this is not just me saying it. I guess with the conversation, you will get to know and see the examples, hear about the examples, and understand that.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
to answer your question regarding how did we find out, so of course, it's my mom was told by the doctor when Jijo was born that
Hmm.
I'm sorry, your son is born with Down syndrome, right? It kind of it can be devastating when a doctor says that. I wonder what the doctor will say now, you know. So
Right. Yeah.
it's something that I wanted to really address, that that's not the way you start a life, right? And so, of course, with all the difficulties that she went through, my dad went through, and in terms of it's new for everyone, right? But the entire family, my grandparents especially, were very supportive, and in fact, my friend circles where uh, they kind of motivated mom to get back to doing her job, to not feel like uh, your little son is anything and everything in this world. So it sort of balanced out her routine and put her mind in the right place. And
Right.
then she and my dad went from pillar to post, trying to find the right school, seeing what they are teaching, and it ended up with they were asking the most amount of questions. Where the schools were like, parents don't ask so many questions, because it's like they are of the kind where they want to find out, and they'll do their research properly, and they'll really know that this is what we're expecting. So
Right.
how much
Mm.
of this are you going to be providing as an education, right? So all that was going on, and for me, it was more like I wanted to be very honest, I wanted a brother. Uh, that is what I asked my parents. Everyone has a brother. I also want a brother, and the main reason was at that point in time, I was big. I'm always big in like motorsports. So
Right.
you'd have these wild ideas when you're in like fourth standard, fifth standard, where I want to race in the Dakar Rally, and I want to do the WRC, and whatever I'm seeing on TV, like anything to do with racing, I want to do that. And it's like, if I have a brother, he like we'll grow up racing each other, and we'll be
Hmm.
uh, you're sort of living together like that, where we are constantly at it, and that's the life I pictured. So when Jijo was born, and my mom mentioned that he's not going to be like the rest, my immediate answer, I still remember very clearly, uh, because that's something I can't forget, was,
Right. Mm.
oh, okay, so he won't be able to drive a car, right? So fine, he'll be my navigator. Because in a rally, you need a navigator next to you.
Navigator. Yeah.
And then so many years down the line, after 2 decades, I'm seeing that that's so horribly true. That yeah, he is quite a navigator for my life. So yeah, that was my approach from day one. The reason I gave you this backstory is to understand that
Mm-hmm.
what was the approach and what was the motivation behind that approach. So the
Mm-hmm.
approach was, I'm just gonna like I honestly never felt like, why is my brother like this? Where I would actually look down upon others if they make fun of my brother because of how he is, right? So
Right.
for me, I never felt like, oh, I'm not getting the attention from my parents because now all the attention is going to my brother. So from the very beginning, it was more like, how can I help my brother, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and that was like in the entire house, there were only two discussions. One is what is Aniket going to be doing in his life, and the other is um, what is Jijo going to do, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
with that sort of an environment, everything was targeted towards observing Jijo. If we observe Jijo's taking a broomstick and he is enjoying music while beating on a pillow, we know that okay, there may be an inclination towards percussion, right?
Hmm.
Um, After my middle school, when it was told to me that, listen, we don't have the finances to make you an off-road racer, it's
Mm-hmm.
something that we can't afford. And I used to sketch dirt bikes. All the motorcycles that I wanted to ride, I used to sketch it. And so my father suggested that I take up design. And why don't I design dirt bikes for a living to
Right.
sort of satisfy my interest? And so when he was looking at me sketching so much vehicles and everything, people with Down syndrome, they love imitating, and he
Hmm.
loved watching animated movies. He can watch it again and again and again and again and again, and this is a common sort of a thing with almost
Yeah.
everyone with Down
Yeah.
syndrome. Uh, but when then he started, he was like, my Dabhai is looking at motorcycles and he's sketching. And suddenly there was a blackboard and I see that he's sketching from his mind. I mean, he doesn't even have speech properly, but he's taking a chalk and he's enjoying sketching things which are
To his
resembling
imaginations. Yeah.
something. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I can see where the influence is from. And then
Hmm.
in his way, he's talking about maybe it's a scene from Lion King, maybe it's this is Mufasa, this is Mufasa's tree. I mean, Rafiki's little tree, and oh, so there was more than uh, and enough hints towards this guy is very visual, right? And he would
Right.
want
Yeah.
to, and there is something clearly which tells us that he is inclined towards art. So
Right.
so we always encouraged that, okay, do whatever you're doing, do it more, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
of course, this is great. Do it more. Not
Keep
don't
doing
take
it.
anything for
Yeah.
granted. Just keep going. So that is where it was like the whole. Of course, like there'll be 10 different things that he's doing, right? But over years of observation, the things out of the 10, if there are
Hmm.
some things he's repeatedly doing, it is sort of helping us shortlist. So
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
the end of the
Yeah.
day, we are here to fill in the blanks in terms of he may not be able to. It's like a game where he's giving clues, and you're the one who's supposed to find out the right answer. So
Right. Right.
so
So,
yeah, that's how
yeah.
we narrowed down.
I guess from the conversation that you had right now, from the narrative that you've shared with us right now, it's really really important to not bend the ways of anybody. Actually, it's not
Yeah,
just about people with Down syndrome. Any child, not bending the ways, but actually figuring out what their passion and interests are, where they are moving towards, and their interests are, and just providing them with that kind of appreciation so that they can keep at it and not
yeah,
lose sight of it.
yeah.
So beautifully explained. I mean, there are a lot of parents, as you mentioned about your mother. Most of the parents, I believe, that I have had a conversation with, has gone through the same journey. It's truly heartbreaking how the medical community sometimes,
Yeah.
judges. So that mindset becomes really, really kind of important to have, even if you are a new parent or you are an older caregiver to your child or as a sibling. So that mindset shift becomes like really, really important.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving ahead, actually, I wanted to discuss something about when Jijo started learning new things, putting them in some sort of a framework, because structured learning sometimes becomes important to move
Mhm.
ahead. So maybe you can talk a little about that. Um,
Sure.
yeah, yeah,
So the so early intervention is the most important.
very important. Yeah, yeah,
Thanks to the approach that my parents had, uh, which which obviously at that point I wouldn't know. I thought, yeah, they are sort of taking you to school because what it is. So, but the early intervention that my parents went through, it sort of gave a great orientation towards how to do things instead
right,
of getting into this whole mindset that I care for the child because I'm giving love, food, and shelter. You know,
right.
as hard as it can be, it is that honestly is an obligatory duty, and none of us should feel proud about doing that, right?
Yeah,
So beyond the obligatory duties, it's what counts, right? That you've what have if it's a human, the human has a conscience, the human has a vision, it has a dream, and the human will have a dream, right?
right.
And
No,
to achieve the dream in a world that is not designed for you can be very demotivating.
definitely.
So the people who the world is designed for, they should be able to decipher the world to the person with special needs and help that
Hmm.
person achieve his or her dream, right?
Right. Their
So
potential. Yeah.
yeah, their potential, because you are doing the job of deciphering. A school is teaching you. Let's take photography for example. You can learn photography, the basics of photography, from a 15-minute YouTube video, because
Exactly. Yeah.
you are design. The world is designed for you, right?
Mm.
But uh, Jijo can't understand that in 15 minutes. because there are so many dots to connect. Because you have one has to explain things in a different manner based on how his mind is reading it. Does that make him
Exactly. Yeah.
stupid? Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Because when he understands it and he takes those shots, there are normal people who are surprised that how the hell did he even think of that angle? How is he even visualizing these things? Like, we can't even, we would never go in that angle, in that, direction and actually carve out a composition like that. So clearly, it is just a matter of who the world is designed for, right?
Right.
So we have a cheat code with us just because the world is the way we want it to be, so we are excelling. But if the world was designed for them, we would be the one with special needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, so when you talk about the framework, so all I had to do was, or everyone at home for that matter, was analyze, understand how he's deciphering things with just years of observation, right? Day in, day
Right.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since the child is born, you have to ask them to hold a pencil, do this, do that, right? So, yeah, and your simple things like, when you're just telling him to eat using the spoon, how is he understanding that? What are the words that is going inside his head? Because he's a man of little words. Like his
Right. Yeah.
vocabulary is not going to be as expansive, I mean, as huge as ours. So, understanding the words that are most important as vocabulary and utilizing that to explain the world to him and seeing how he's following instructions, what are
Right.
the ways in which he understands the world, and based on that figure out that if there is a specialization that he's interested in, but clearly the world can't provide that, right? Because um, special education can only go to a certain extent,
Right. Yeah.
right? When it comes to specialization, it's very difficult because everyone has a different learning curve. I mean, hats off to the special education teachers who teach a classroom of 10, 15 people with Down syndrome, autism, and other conditions, because each one of them, when it comes to individual attention, they need it the most, right? And I know that from me trying to teach art and design to Jijo, that I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
think I'll be able to teach a classroom because I would not be sure whether they will understand everything. Yeah,
Everybody has their own pace.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's like when you understand the way they understand the world, you have to then figure out that okay, if this is the specialization that is required, and it is obvious that unless one-to-one interaction is there, he's not going to be able to grasp it.
Right.
We have to learn it first and then decipher it to them.
Right. Right.
That is the fastest way, because that is exactly where we have to structure the whole curriculum, and make sure that he gets what he wants in the way
Hmm.
he can digest it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the solution is, it's like, for example, for a normal kid, oh, what are the extracurricular activities you're doing? You're going to school, you're studying maths, physics, chemistry, and all of that, and then you're interested in art. Okay, let's find a good art teacher and send you there. You
Yeah.
can't do that with a child with special needs. You can't do that with a sound with an extra chromosome. You can't assign a photography teacher for that. Yes,
Right.
there'll be workshops where they will definitely understand something which is basic, right?
Hmm.
But when it comes to exercising and repeating what was taught, it has to be done under supervision of the family, and where the family has to reiterate everything that was taught, which is what
Correct.
happened with Jijo in the lockdown, where Samar Jodha, a very renowned photographer, took a
Hmm.
workshop of how to tell stories with photographs using a smartphone, right? And as the class was going on, I was taking down notes in a way where Jijo would understand,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the next morning when he wakes up, he has a checklist that when he clicks a picture, he comes to me and he's like, "How is it?" I ask him to put it next to the checklist. Does it have this, this, this?
Has
Oh,
it covered
this is
all of these
missing. Yeah.
things? Yeah.
So that way, consciously, you're training him. Now, I
Hmm.
can't expect Samar to do that for all the 10, 15 kids that he taught, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So this is the basic way in which you can structure it. I think I can share my screen, and I've curated a few
Definitely.
examples
Yeah. Yeah.
of how I had to decipher the things that he wants to learn, and then transfer that education to him.
Can you share the screen?
Yeah,
I made you the co-host.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, when it comes to, yeah, I'll start with art since that's what he did first. So, there's first a lot of brainstorming where I'm talking about what are the different exercises. So, having gone to design school, I still recollect the foundation, the first year, which was the most important year, where we learn everything that we use till today, right? And
Right. Yeah.
so, along my second or third year, I started transferring that education to Jijo, and of course, a lot of my friends helped because they always saw that I'm trying to do this. So for people like I was doing product design, for people who were doing animation, graphic design, illustrations, they used to come back and tell me, "Oh, this I was taught. Jijo does this really well because of what we've seen. Figure out a way in which you can teach him and show us the results. Then maybe we'll figure out the next thing that we can do." So you're not
Passion
alone.
driving passion.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So when people see that someone like him is putting out work like that without having this sort of a privilege of going into a design school and all of that,
Right.
they are also inspired, and I don't think I would have even understood half of what you see over here without their help. So stuff like what are the different exercises that are required for him to be doing, what are the mediums, what are the kind of projects that he could be doing, who are the people who can teach that, right? How do I
Yeah.
divide the week? uh,
Aniketa, are you sharing a different screen because it's not visible?
no, I'm just sharing one screen.
It's are we still on the screen where there are files called brainstorming, curriculum,
No, no,
curriculum
no.
term two?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. I think that's because, okay, I have to share the whole
Yeah, you have to share the whole
screen.
screen.
1 second, just hold
Yeah.
on. Sorry about that. 1 second. Oh, I selected a window, so it became like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is it now? You'll see it. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, yeah. Now we see it.
Yeah. So stuff like this, like what are the kind of exercises? What are the mediums? This is what I was talking about. I wouldn't have known any of this. I mean, I would have known maybe 10-20% of this, but not more than that if it was not for my friends who uh, constantly gave me inputs. I
Right,
didn't know how to teach Jijo, but all they were doing is while I was learning product design, they were telling me on what's happening here and if he's done this, what could be the next step, right?
right. Yeah.
So things like that, right? And
That's
then,
quite interesting,
yeah,
the
thank you.
brainstorming exercise.
So then I put it all together. This was his first curriculum. This is from 2013, I would say, where there
Okay.
were tasks. And this was like I would be in college, right? So this has to be self-explanatory in a way where my parents also understand what he's doing and
Correct. Yeah.
where to draw the line when it comes to when it comes to not disturbing but interrupting him, right? Because it's very
Right. Yeah.
difficult when you're at home, right? There's it's not
It
going to be
is.
the same as you and your friends in a hostel room doing a course together. So, what are the ways? What are the? I'll just briefly go over it. It's like what are
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
mediums in which you're going to be doing things, which is A, B,
Uh-huh.
C. See, this is not for him. This is for my parents, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because I don't expect Jijo to understand any of this, right? So at that point, I mean, this is more than 10 years ago. Then there are exercises like movie and art. Okay, so it's a 2 hour exercise. He starts watching animated film, absorbs the story, picks a scene,
Right. Yeah.
takes a screenshot, and then
Mm-hmm.
draws that. Book and art, illustrated book, same thing, right? Study it, do it.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is M2. Then M3 is these are the different things that are like that he's supposed to be doing. Then there's a whole routine on when to do M1, when to do M2, and when to do M3, and so on. So then there's draw the world that you see around you, maintaining a sketchbook, then digital
Right.
painting, and then this is module 5 is you have to have a day of the week where you're finishing pending artwork, right?
Right.
Because you might start something you may not finish. Then there are rewards and penalties. If you manage to finish stuff, you will definitely get to watch an extra movie of your choice. You'll get a small gift from the toy store, or
This is really important. Yeah.
and yeah, rewards are very important. Penalties are
Yeah.
equally important. Then one of his artworks will be framed, and then there is penalties. Like if you're getting complacent and you have too many unfinished artworks, you've not completed your week, then your playtime can get banned and you have to work extra hard. then your movie time is going to go off because you're going to spend that time in finishing the artwork. So
Yeah.
it's all about to put in simple words, you don't get any extra um, conveniences for being
Yeah.
special. The
Exactly.
world
It
is the
it
way it
shifts you.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, they're not babied, and then
yeah,
there's sense of accountability
yeah.
through the rewards and penalties, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is term two. That was term one. This is term two, where he's doing art
Hmm.
studies again. Then he's doing iterations,
Iterations.
um, where if he's done something, he's iterating on making varieties of it. So it's sort of starting with studying art and then
Right.
slowly transitioning into using his imagination with the newfound visual library in his head,
Hmm.
and then doing fun exploration, study sessions, digital painting. So like that, like every day there's a module. So it's
There's
not
a
two
module,
modules in
right?
a day,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So all of this is just like we do. The main thing to understand is you'll make something.
Hmm.
After a week or two, you realize that it needs to be updated, and it'll
Right.
take at least a month of trial and error to come and say, okay, this I can rely on for the next 4 months, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after 4 months, you'll be the next iteration. So, like, then this is level two, where when he's getting better and faster, two
Hmm.
modules,
2 modules per
yeah,
day.
per day.
Yeah.
So this is advanced, this is beginner, right? So
Right.
beginner, I was doing some days two modules, some day one. Again, based on what he's doing. There's not like a random sort of a quantification.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's based on what he's doing. So like that, art was like taken as a very serious endeavor because you have to replicate what's happening in an art school, right?
Right. Right.
And I think over here it's a very important thing. I'll just stop sharing and share again when I want to show about photography. A
Yeah.
very important point here was something that I was taught in my first year of design school is to not get too attached with what you're doing,
Okay.
because especially when you're getting trained, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I have not been very forgiving when it comes to art education with Jijo.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I know where the limits are, of course,
Definitely. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it is not that if he draws something, he comes to me, oh look, it looks so nice. I'm like, I don't like it. It's this is wrong, that is wrong. This looks like a 5-year-old sketch or whatever.
Hmm.
If I'm expecting him to do better, I'll be very brutally honest with him that this
Right.
is the problem, why is it not right, and what he should be improving, right? So that is
Hmm.
now. But before, uh, just like how we were in school, just because I was the only guy, one of the only people who were drawing well, everyone was
Right.
always
Yeah.
says that, oh, if there's something to do, if there's something to do with art, you should just ask Aniket to do it because he draws really well. And then you get through the design school, and exactly, so I went to National Institute of Design.
Right.
That time it was very hard. Like, I mean, I guess it's still hard. Because of that time, there were
Yeah.
very few design schools in the country, and this was the one that everyone wanted to go to. And for me, it was like, okay, I really need to get through this. That is like the IIT level of design
Design.
in that point
Yeah.
in time, right? So when I got through, they select some 80, 90 odd people from the country. So when I got through, there was an immense sense of shit. I made it. I that means I'm good. And then in foundation, the way they teach you, and
Hmm.
the way your seniors sort of show you that what is the meaning of being good, you realize
Right. Right.
how little your skill is, and how much there is
Improve.
to
You can
learn,
you can
right?
improve. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and this was further amplified by the faculty. Like, if I've not done something properly, and he's seen it once, he's like, no, throw it away. Simple answer is throw it away. They're like, but I just spent 5 hours doing this. I'm like, so what? It's not good. Just throw it away. So we were taught how to tear our sheets and put it in the dustbin. So Jijo was given the same treatment.
Right.
It was very
Hmm.
difficult for everyone in the house, but for me it was
Definitely
normal.
would be. Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was something very, very important where he stopped. When he understood that, yes, my mom and dad love what I do, but when it comes to the real world, this is my benchmark. So yeah, this is not good. It's okay. I'll throw it. I'll make something again. So that habit, that mindset sort of helped him sort of mature into uh, valuing what not valuing everything that he's doing to a point where it'll break his heart to tear it apart, you know.
Right.
And of course, now
Right.
it's not like, and as time progressed, obviously he got better and better. So he
Hmm.
realized that, yeah, what is good and what is bad, and now he gets to critique it himself, and he'll
Right.
redo it. So things like that, and yeah, uh, again, the approach changes. This is what's to do with art. Now with photography, it's a whole different ball game.
Different thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in photography, Sama taught how to create a good composition. Check your edges. Uh, the photograph should have an emotion. It should have a feeling. It should have a story, right?
Right.
But then that is a smartphone. Now he's like, now I want to give him a DSLR for him to really go out there and have that much amount of freedom in terms of what he can do with the camera, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and of course, the quality. So there, a different approach was taken, right?
Right.
So here, so after like it started off with this is Jijo with his first ever step by
Checklist.
step whiteboard instruction.
Yeah.
One is to set up the frame, check your zoom. See, remember I talked about you have to explain everything with very few words, so you choose your words effectively. So I should
Yeah.
be able to give him prompts when he's with the DSLR. I'm like, set up the frame, check your zoom. Have you checked your
Focus check.
focus?
Yeah.
uh, it's if it's blurry. I mean, if you're like if you need to go closer, or if you've changed your zoom, you have to come back and focus check again,
It's
and
quite
then
interesting.
you
Yeah.
do your exposure check. Make sure that
Hmm.
you turn that knob to make sure that it's in the center, so it's not underexposed or overexposed, and then you take a shot, right? So this is where it started from. Now this leveled up once this was very much in his mind. So
Right. Right.
when he's in Big Rock Dot Park, and there's a motorcycle going, right, or there is a shot that he wants to take of a still life. I'm like, Jijo, check frame, zoom, focus, exposure, shoot. You know, so I know that the curriculum is made in a way where he doesn't have to take out a notebook
Correct. Yeah.
manual to refer to before taking the shot. He can hear my verbal prompts, and it will add to his muscle memory.
Right. Yeah.
Then comes the next level. Okay,
Hmm.
here it's like this is to do with motorsport photography. Now, Jijo just got to be recognized. I mean, recently he got recognized as the only motorsport photographer in the country with Down syndrome.
Right.
The reason why it was recognized as such is because motorsport photography is a, a bit like it's quite
Complicated.
tough. It's quite tough because
Yeah.
it's just like I mean, I would compare it with wildlife photography, except that things are moving really fast, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And you have to focus lock, compose, and shoot in split second
In
situations.
split seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like the motorsport side of him, where he is, I would say, one second. The motorsport side of him, where he is just capturing portraits and all of that, like the racers before the race, that he's
Hmm.
good at because he loves capturing portraits, still life, everything is fine. But how do you take those decisions of, quick split
Split
second?
second decisions. Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, frame, you zoom, you check your exposure, keep it ready. Okay. Now, the moment someone's
Mm-hmm.
coming on the racetrack, focus lock, shoot. So he knows focus lock means that
What?
he's gonna
Yeah.
immediately his zoom is ready, his frame is ready. He's like right there. That's why I call it like wildlife photography, because it's like how wildlife photographers are like there, static. When the moment comes, they're like shooting. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Because you don't have a hand over the movements that is
Absolutely.
going on in front of your lens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so then what are the different settings that should be there where
Hmm.
he doesn't have to break his head over those things? All he has to break his head over is my focus lock in the right place? Is the exposure right? And while I'm focus locking and shooting, is my camera moving in the same speed as the motorcycle? And that is the toughest part. Takes a lot of practice. So what the photographer should have, what the assistant should have, because at that point I'm the assistant carrying all the equipment and
Right,
everything, while
right.
he is
Yeah.
the celebrated photographer with just the camera, and moving around, while I'm like um, the coolie with all the gear.
All the games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So something as simple as, this is not in with motorsport. This is like the basic thing. So I put a little PPT together for him. What is the
Mm-hmm.
foundation of doing things right? How do you focus log? Because one thing that I saw him completely getting used to was focus log shoot. So whatever is in the center is focused. So
Correct, correct. Yeah.
now, if I want something on the side that is
Mm-hmm.
sharp and the background is blurry to make a very cinematic, dramatic shot, that was not happening because he was like, yeah, because the cursor in the center of the viewfinder is not moving, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah.
So how do I explain that? So I tried, I failed a lot of times. I could not explain it to him because the camera didn't have live view and all that. So I thought I'll to visualize it
Mm-hmm.
by putting together like a sequence of events. So, for example, explaining. So all these are things that I have to make, and this
You
is the message that
curated
I
by
want to throw
yourself.
across.
Yeah.
That this is what, after you learn the subject, you'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
put it together for your individual to understand it, right? For your
Correct. Yeah.
um, son, daughter, brother, sister to understand. So you're explaining what the scene is. The camel is near the camera, the pyramids are away, right? And this is
Yeah.
the shot that you want, which you can't get if you are focusing over here because it will focus on the sky.
Correct.
How
Yeah.
do you adjust this? So educating on what is foreground, what is background. So
Mm-hmm.
here again, it's like I'll just quickly skim through this. Um, the theory of or the practical thing of, if it's closer it'll be sharper, if it's in the background it'll be
If
blurry.
it's further, it will be blurry.
That's
Yeah.
called depth of field. Okay,
Yeah.
so the more depth of field there is, more dramatic the shot will be.
Again,
So
in very simple terms.
yeah,
Yeah.
very simple terms.
That's important.
Yeah. So now step by step, this is what the viewfinder looks like. This is your focus box. This is the exposure level. Now these are all
Correct. Mm.
terminologies which I know that when I'm saying it, he's hearing me. He's the one seeing it. I'm not able to see the viewfinder, right? So he knows
Correct.
what
Yeah.
is what. So I'll tell you, is the focus box in the right place? Did you check the exposure level? So now first step, you select your composition. This is what you want. Then you want to zoom and you want to improve the composition, adjust it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Finish
Mm-hmm.
that. You have your frame ready, right?
Frame ready. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're checking your lighting. It's underexposed. Get it to the center. Once you finish that, you choose the subject of your focus. You want the camel to be sharp. So turn towards the camera, turn towards the camel, focus lock on the camel, go back to the main frame. This is the part that he was not understanding. That if
Okay.
he was focusing on the camel
This
and then shooting the
process.
camel, the fact that he has to
Hmm.
get back to the main frame is what took the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is matching your earlier intent and your frame, then you shoot.
Then shoot.
Yeah, so you get this shot. So you see, something like this, a YouTube video, and we know, right? But this is the way you have to redesign it for him to know. But once he understands it, he's going to exploit it like no tomorrow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the second shot. So the assignment was, I need two pictures from you. One where the focus is on the right side, and the other
Mm-hmm.
you focus lock on the left side.
On the
So
left
same
side. Yeah.
frame. So that way, I gave him assignments that I need two shots, same frame, but alternative focus.
Correct.
That's the end of assignment. So this was the thing. So like, I was getting results like this.
This is practice phases.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there are many. Like this is the recent one from Ultraviolet's Fast Forward, where
Okay.
we,
Okay.
whenever he goes to an event, also we do this warm up check. This is his practice, so that he is
Yeah.
well versed with doing this as muscle memory, right?
Correct.
So it's like when you're sketching, you do a warm up. This is a warm up sort of a thing. Yeah, and of course then things like, for example, these sort of shots where the background is blurry and all of that. Um, that is like the motorsport level of photography. So there, how do you, when low shutter speed, practicing to match the speed of the vehicle with the
Mm-hmm.
camera so that the background is blurry and your subject is
It's
sharp.
focused. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is like you practicing on the street before race day because that's the best place you can capture this. And then we
Exactly.
got the
Yeah.
kind of shots that was showcased. I think those things I don't have to show. You guys have access and you can see all the best shots in his Instagram profile. and this is how
Definitely, yeah.
we used to
Yeah.
practice.
I mean, it's important, to understand that this is kind of an individualized
Yeah,
plan
yeah,
that you have created for Jijo,
absolutely.
and any caregiver that is watching is
And
this
of
is
course,
awesome practice at home.
yeah, and then DSLR is not always the thing when it comes to really encouraging lateral thinking.
Hmm.
By He loves lights and shadows, making abstract compositions. So pretty much everyone at home, like whether it's mom, dad, like you see over here, they're always like, we also start looking at things differently. You're like, hey Jijo, there is a, my, like for example, my mom, she's not into photography, but after seeing everything, when she also looks at the world differently. Oh, look, my flowers are looking really good against the crane in the background. Get your camera, maybe see what you can do. And then he takes out something and it blows everyone's mind. So it's everyone in the family has to be involved, because you are sort of fueling the passion. So he
Correct.
knows that there is nothing to be shy of. Ideas are everywhere. It's just about how we find them. Yeah. So I
Very
think
true.
that was a
Very
very
true.
comprehensive look at all the ways of structuring things.
What I actually really liked from this discussion was, there are many a times that we focus on things is that has like a status quo, I would say. It's
Hmm.
a status quo that if somebody has a disability, they might be doing this, they might be doing that, and only these particular things. And then building a business or building their livelihoods on those particular lines. If this person has Down syndrome, there might be assumptions, they might be good at these things, and we should put them in these learning particular paths, and then build a business. And sometimes there is a thought also of building the business on pity, which is something that you have not done, which is actually really great. I mean, they are an individual and they deserve all the respect that anybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, getting them better at their passion is something I think you are very passionate about, and you have built certainly a very beautiful learning framework for him to learn and grow in his passions.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah. It's. I guess it's a matter of um, not feeling okay with, let me figure out my life, and then what does he want? I just have to take
yeah,
care of him now. So okay, once I figure out my life, I'll have all the means necessary to take care of him.
correct.
That approach
Mhm.
is great. I mean, yeah, it's again, you're just falling into your obligatory duty. But when Jijo had, when Jijo got speech and he talked about
Mhm.
his dream, the way I was talking about my dream, uh, I found it to be inhuman to
It
not
is quite
address
inhuman.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I can't call myself successful just because because I've sort of uh, achieved something in my career, but at the cost of what? At the cost of a gullible little brother who would accept any explanation you're giving him on why you could not help him, and he has that level of EQ to sort of accept and encourage you that, yeah, your life is more important. I'm there, I'm always there with you. No, no, you do your job. I mean, you can't sleep at night if you think that.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I mean, the joy I get from him getting that smile, that he's achieved something that he looked up to for a long time, and then finally he's got it. That's just priceless, and that makes me feel like, okay, I've achieved something in life. Yeah, everything else I know I can achieve, but this is something that has gone through so many iterations for me to get that feeling inside Jijo that he could achieve something which others are surprised that how is it even possible? How is he using Photoshop and doing digital paintings, right? So
Right, yeah.
it's so that is the biggest joy. Then it's like, yeah, you've done something right, or and there's a lot more to do.
So, actually, there are quite a few questions
Yeah,
from
sure,
the
sure.
audience.
Yeah,
Probably we can take that and then move ahead with our discussion.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. We
yeah,
keep it organic. Yeah.
yeah. So, there's a parent called Alim Ji. They are asking, um, her child is 6 years old, and they want to ask, at what age did your brother started speaking? And so it's I believe it's going to be different for different individuals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's the,
speech came
if
really
you
late
could,
for
yeah.
Jijo. Speech
Okay.
came really, really late for Jijo. It was, I mean, I actually don't have that on record, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, I mean, I'd rather not say the wrong number, but it was definitely in his teens or later that he
Right.
could speak properly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Early teens, maybe, right? But the thing is, there's a huge. So I would just say, don't judge your child based on what he or she is now, because if you were to meet Jijo um, about yeah around 2013,
Mm-hmm.
um, it would take at least 5 visits to our house for Jijo to even say hi to you. Okay.
Right. Right.
He was
Mm.
super introverted. Like he wouldn't even open his mouth in front of people. At home with the people, he's like, happy-go-lucky, having fun. But outside, he would just go numb, zip. That's it. And today,
Mm-hmm.
he is so extroverted that he talks to more people in a crowd than
Then you
I
know.
can, right? To a point where
Yeah.
he's like, when he goes to office with me on Fridays to Ultraviolet, he's meeting people. One second. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's meeting people in the lift. I mean, there's so many employees. I don't know everyone, right? And he's sort of he is so extroverted that he will if there is a little name that someone from his friend circle in the design team has given me, he'll be like, hey, this guy is called this. Say hi. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know your names. I am Aniket, So he's that. So imagine, like, I neither did my parents nor me even imagine that Jijo would one day be this
This
extroverted.
extroverted, yeah.
Yeah, because he had all the signs of being superbly introverted, right? And we were
Right.
like, okay,
Right.
this is what we accept, and then it just went out of the window because again, a huge involvement, or I would say a huge um, um, one like I'm losing my words. Wait, it was a lot of effort and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of credit. Yeah, a huge amount of credit would go to Spatial Society of Karnataka because when he got back to Bangalore from
Mm-hmm.
Calcutta in 2014, um, they they had very unique things that they did, including a summer camp.
Right. Right.
And after he got back from the summer camp, which was the first time he was on a school trip without anyone from
Mm-hmm.
the family, um, he was asked to talk about it on stage in front of all the teachers and parents, which obviously he didn't like. But there were volunteers who were, standing next to him, encouraging him. And but the thing is, uh, what he went through in the summer camp, that level of independency, that yeah, I don't need my
That
parents,
was
I know how much
important.
I can
Yeah.
achieve. Something clicked, right? And the first video on YouTube in his channel is that thing that he said on stage. And you can see that he's looking down, he's looking up, suddenly, saying a few words and again going back. But I know that those saying a few words, that itself is a huge achievement because he
Correct.
wouldn't even get on
Yeah.
that stage and hold a mic, right? So yeah, then there was a complete transformation. The more you take them out, the more you are proud of their existence, and the more
Right.
people know about them. If they know about you, it makes a
Mm.
huge difference. Because Jijo, everyone, like whether my friends, clients, in the professional network, everyone would know. If they know me, they know Jijo,
They
right?
know Jijo.
And
Yeah.
you'll be surprised as to how many times people have actually come forward to think about him and give an idea or be like, "Hey, get him over." Like that, the stories are endless. I mean, that's a different broadcast altogether.
Yeah. So there's actually one more question as we were talking about education. So Neelam ji is asking, please tell something about early education of Jijo.
Early education, those are all they were all focused on basic cognitive
Mm-hmm.
education and life skills.
Right.
it was like art education and all of that came much later. The first thing is, uh, what they do in special schools in helping them have better hand-eye coordination, cognitive skills, life skills. Again, all of that being replicated at home. School does
Right.
not end where the child sits on the school bus and comes back home. It
Correct.
continues,
It
and
continues at home.
yeah,
Exactly.
and that is if you want to continue it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which the teachers always told us that this has to be implemented at home day in day out, so that when he's doing it, when he comes to school the next day, he's already warmed up, because when he went back home, these things were translated into everyday chores, like everyday chores in the sense, if it is to do with following an instruction and keeping something using, suppose he's introduced with the term left and right. When he
Mm-hmm.
comes back from school, teacher has informed us, and we are giving him instructions that has left and right in it.
Correct. Yeah.
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 Uh, Even if it is like, Jijo, can you get me the towel which is
Mm-hmm.
there on the left side? Uh, so if it's too many words, also he should focus on the left. And if I see he's going towards the left, I know he's getting used to it. So
Correct.
that
Yeah.
way, your
Yeah.
progress rate will increase a
Mm.
lot if you continue the school at home.
It's the same thing. I mean, with school, with therapy, it's the same thing because the child is going to stay at therapy or school for those 4 hours, 2 hours, 1.5 hours, but the rest of the 24 hours they are at home, and it definitely should continue at home as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um.
another thing that happened was when we were in Bangalore. When I went to
Mhm.
college, he went to Calcutta.
Right.
So in Calcutta, everyone speaks in Bengali. We had a very my parents taught me a simple rule that it's not okay to speak in your mother tongue outside, because when there are three, four people sitting on a table and
Mm-hmm.
not everyone knows the language, it's bad manners to speak in your language because you're not including the other person. Even if you have something to
Definitely.
say which
Yeah.
is nothing
Yeah.
to concerning with them, you should speak in a language that everyone understands.
Everyone
Yeah, so
understands.
you
Yeah.
leave your
Yeah.
mother tongue at home and then you go out. So now
Mm-hmm.
that was happening in Bangalore because outside it was a new language. Now,
Definitely. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
he went to Calcutta, it was a bit different because suddenly everyone on the streets was talking
Mm-hmm.
in Bengali. School, even though they were teaching in English, the interaction is happening in Bengali. So when he got back to Bangalore, it was a huge challenge for him because now he was sparingly using English, right? So
Right.
now the school is teaching him, but then everyone at home, when he came back, we had to stop talking in Bengali. We had to
Yeah. To
continue
start
speaking English.
switch. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Switch to
so that
English. Yeah.
he is able to grasp the language through experience, right? And it
Right.
happened till a point where he got comfortable. Then again, we were talking back in our mother tongue, but we were
Mm-hmm.
getting instructions in English. So it's like the school is only 50% of it. If the family gives the rest of the 50%, you're actually educating the child. Otherwise,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just some little percentage of things that will happen, which will make the child dependent on you 100% all the time, all your life.
Right. I also believe, like, as you mentioned rightly, most of the parents sometimes they feel that we should, go directly towards vocational training or
Yeah,
things like that, and skip through the whole process of early intervention and cognitive learning and all of those
yeah,
things,
yeah.
which plays a huge role
Prerequisites. Yeah,
yeah, those are prerequisites.
yeah,
Figuring out your own independence, those things are really, really important.
yeah.
People sometimes go in awe when they see people with Down syndrome doing amazing things, but they have to understand that a lot of work has been gone behind it. They have they have gone through early intervention and cognitive learning and all of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah, so actually, that brings me to our next question or pointers of discussion, which is your what has been your personal struggles, self-doubts. There has been a lot of societal perception as
Mhm.
well, which everybody knows about it. There are a lot of myths and um, which has to be busted by you definitely would have been in your past. We can talk about that maybe, or learning about the trial and error method that we were previously
Yeah,
discussing about.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe you can talk about that a little.
yeah. See, one is l- let's clear the societal perception first.
Yeah.
Um, you will you may not be able to spend as much time with your friends
Mm-hmm.
as much as your peers. I'm talking purely from a sibling perspective. I'm sure it's the same with parents.
Definitely, yeah, yeah.
So, but at the same time, your true friends will also know that you're not able to spend time with them, not because you're doing something uh, where you're ignoring them, but they know the real reason, because at the end of the day, you've not been hiding what is keeping
Right.
you so occupied, right? So there is no point in convincing people who already think that no, I don't relate to this. It's okay, the people who appreciate it, the people who value it. There's a reason why they're your friends. The rest of them are just acquaintances, right?
Yeah.
So there is, you should not, I don't, I personally think that I should not be feeling bad about, oh, that person has so many friends
Mm-hmm.
because he's able to socialize so much and I have only so many. Why am I not able to socialize? Then I'm like,
Right.
you're not going to get everything that you ask for, but what are you choosing based on what is giving you the most amount of happiness is kind of in front of you. So
Quality over quantity.
yeah. So yeah, that way, if like whenever I hang out with my friends and Jijo's there,
Mm-hmm.
we always have a very memorable time, and in a way where I sometimes miss him when he's not there and I'm with my friends. Even my
Right.
friends also,
Mm-hmm.
they, because they've interacted with him and after he's become such a big extrovert, um, his little things that oh, if Jijo was here he would say this or this would have happened. The fact that it's coming out of their mouth, right,
Right.
is the fact that this is a person which people actually want around them
Yeah.
because they
And
have
that's the
interacted with them.
acceptance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like I even if I have to like there's sometimes where, suppose when I was an independent design consultant, I used to have client meetings where I'm going to someone's office, presenting
Mm-hmm.
whatever I had to do for a weekly meeting or whatever. And sometimes I tell them that, yeah, I pick up my brother from school, this meeting is coinciding with this. Is it okay if my brother comes with me? And they know who my brother is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen more support than denials, honestly. Where
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
this was a place where it was very confidential, and they actually convinced the security that this guy is Aniket's co-designer, and Jijo even got a card, and
Right.
he got
Mm-hmm.
entry. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll be surprised how the world actually makes way when they see that this is a very honest intention, and there's a lot happening with how this guy is progressing.
Correct.
They
Yeah.
also know that because I'm putting
Yeah.
out Jijo's story out there with how he has progressed, how far he has come. So they know that,
That's
yeah,
actually the first step,
yeah,
actually, not
yeah. So
holding back the story.
absolutely. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm actually proud of his existence than me
Exactly.
hiding
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
from the world, and that
Yeah.
kind of is the first step towards asking for inclusivity, right? Um, and of course, that's out of the way. Now, when it comes to self doubt and trial and error, I think that's part of the whole thing, which I already
Yeah. Yeah.
mentioned in the curriculum.
Yeah.
In the self doubt, it's like, see. I mean, at least what I understand of it is, is it possible for me to do it? You know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm that kind of a person. I don't know. See, everyone is not that, but I'm kind of hard on myself, to be very honest. So
Right.
if I can't do something, that's bad. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because we read enough and more stories about people who achieve things no matter what, right? And then I'm reminded of those things, and I'm like, it's okay if I don't get this help, I'll make it happen.
Right.
And
Right.
when you have that kind of a person in front of you, like for example, the more I talk about Jijo's relentlessness in achieving something, the less it is, in terms of
Correct. Yeah.
I'm not going to do justice. So
Mm-hmm.
I just look at him that, how relentless can he be to achieve that much? Where even I remember one of my friends also saying that if we actually worked as hard as him, we would not be complaining of half the stuff in our life. You know,
True.
so
True.
so when you have someone like
Yeah.
him, you're like, of course, if he can achieve it, let me just put my thing into that kind of a mindset. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and this is something I relate a lot to, being a big fan of the Dakar Rally, and something that CS Santosh coined about the rally raid mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jijo was born with it, because when you're in the world's most toughest rally, and
Yeah.
you have to, if finishing is a big thing than just coming first, second, third, or top 20. You know what it takes to, what kind of attitude you have to make sure that your motorcycle and you reach the finish line, right? So in all of these things, I think I've been fortunate enough to have the right kind of inspiration around me, that helped me with the self doubt, where it is like
Right.
there is no other way than this.
Mm-hmm.
Jijo will achieve his dream, and I have to also achieve mine. So, whatever means necessary, whatever hard work has to be put in, if that is my priority, that is my priority. Simple as that. So, that is
Right.
how I look at things. And of course, that leads to constant innovation, like in how Jijo also has to feel like I'm in the same boat as him, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we do a lot of gamification at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there is a routine with a routine that tells him what to do when, so that he knows the value of time,
Right.
which leads to him getting ticks. Certain number of ticks helps him get a star. Certain number of
Mm-hmm.
stars
Gets him
tells
something.
him at the end of the
Yeah.
week that at
Mm-hmm.
what level is he? Is he at baby level, boy level, man level, or Superman level? So that means with every week, your level, to consistently maintain a level, is a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So similarly, that means it is applicable to me also.
True. Yeah.
So if I'm asking for help where I couldn't, then he knows that, oh, Dabhai, your level is falling now. So things like that kind of make it a
Yeah.
very healthy competition, where
Yeah.
you are sort of helping,
Each
you're
other.
sort of doing the journey together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and yeah, that way, that is like, this is like one of the examples. So like that, there are many things that you can think of where he'll be like, suppose I'm working. And so sometimes he sort of connects the right dots and comes to bully me, where if I'm working and I'm missing dinner, and my
Yeah.
mom says that, no, no, give the plate next to his table, he'll have it. So Jijo will come
Hmm.
and feed me saying that, look, I'm putting you in baby level because I'm now feeding you, you know. So yeah, it's like things like that,
Yeah.
it's
Fun
a nice
banter
way
at
of
home.
putting fun into the whole thing without even
Yeah.
realizing that you're getting educated in the first place.
Yeah. So it's really, I feel it's really, really important to understand that you are constantly hounded by the society. That this is the kind of this is the scale that you should be working at. Everybody around you is working at that scale. You have to understand the kind of passion and the kind of skills that you have as a person and move with that particular pace, but also not deny
Yeah.
somebody from the kind of quality of work that they can achieve.
Yeah.
Denying that is a crime, as well as expecting them to go as fast as everybody else or as slow as everybody else is also a crime. So
Absolutely.
finding out that fine balance is quite important, is what I gathered from this discussion
And
actually.
there's something very important that I should mention, since we're talking about societal perception.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, there are two things which have absolutely surprised me, where, and those two are to do with the two organizations that Jijo has worked with and continues to work with, is Big Rock Dirt Park and Ultraviolet Automotive.
Ultraviolet, yeah.
uh, it was just a trail attack that, after lockdown, Jijo loves road trips. We couldn't take him because of COVID. And then when
Mm-hmm.
trail attack happened, I took him there, and he likes photography. And by that time, Samar Joda's course had happened. And with a phone and with his little DSLR, the basic things, he was shooting the kids' race.
Right.
But from the way he was shooting at the beginning versus the way he was shooting towards the end was completely different, because he was constantly imitating the official photographers over there who were shooting,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
results of which was pretty good. And
Mm-hmm.
it sort of it helped him get the next opportunity at Big Rock Dirt Park. And at the same
Hmm.
time, it is also important to say that when people see someone with a relentless passion, people come forward to help.
Correct. Yeah.
Uh, Jijo was gaining weight. He
Hmm.
was, of course, it's very easy for people with Down syndrome to gain weight.
Gain weight. Yeah.
They can get a
Yes.
little lazy sometimes. So the motivation was missing. So there were people at Big Rock Dirt Park and photographers that he made friends with, and obviously we also
Hmm.
got to know, who actually gave him conditions that, you know what, we check the weight of people who are coming in. So looking at you, I don't think you'll be applicable to shoot for the next race. So you better, get fit. So
Right.
now he had the motivation of this idea was not mine, right? And it sort of motivated him to, no, I have to be like this person who's shooting like this, so I have to be the next photographer over there, so I'm now motivated. So like that it went forward with so many races, like I've lost count, where every time he's taken a new milestone ahead with Big Rock Dirt Park, and they have been even more, like if he's reached this level, then they talk about the next level, right?
Right.
Same thing
Yeah.
with Ultraviolet. Like I joined Ultraviolet, and after 2 or 3 weeks, Narayan, the CEO, he,
Hmm.
having seen Jijo also, because obviously if they know me, they know him. It was his idea that,
Right.
I think Jijo will get a lot of exposure from the design team here. Why don't
Right.
you get him on a Friday and let's see how he interacts, right? Before that, my friend Nirav, who runs Anticipate, when the school told him that, Aniket, if you're taking his career in your hands and you don't want us to train him in anything to get a job, it's
Hmm.
very important that he wakes up and does not work in the same place. He needs to get up, get ready, and go to a place to work, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
he was anyways going to my friend Neerav's house in the weekend to
Hmm.
sketch, because Neerav is an animator, an illustrator. So then he said, "Yeah, you know what? You come to Anticipate." So suddenly, with his newfound confidence, he was going to an office space where there are interns coming in. He's on his own.
Right.
He has to make sure
Yeah.
that the desk is tidy. He does not mess it up. He
Hmm.
learned so much about studio etiquettes over there. And Nirav had his own plans of, if Jijo's doing something really well, he gets to sit over here. So all these things he was learning about how the world is working. And what was I doing? I was in Ahmedabad working on my portfolio, right? And
Right.
my
Yeah.
parents were helping in Jijo being dropped at Anticipate and coming back from Anticipate.
Coming back home. Yeah.
So it is like, and with Ultraviolet, of course, with the kind of exposure he got from the photography team, design team, it led to them getting the confidence that he can handle events. Started from
Right. Right.
small
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
now with what he achieved with Fast
Hmm.
Forward India, it was remarkable, because he didn't require me near him telling these terms for him to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
On
Yeah.
his own, and people were actually very much convinced that, he is acting like an official photographer.
Yeah.
You
It's a
need to
part
tell him
of
that.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And everyone from, you'll be surprised that it's not just Ultraviolet. It's Ultraviolet. The UV Squadron are the customers of Ultraviolet
Hmm.
who ride the F-77s. Even they know Jijo, because there was a light painting workshop, and actually Jijo came up with better ideas, and everyone started implementing those ideas on how to paint with light. So now, if there is an event, they ask me that, hey, is Jijo coming to shoot it? I mean, they have
Hmm.
nothing to do. They're just people who've bought the motorcycle from Ultraviolet, right? They are like,
Right.
imagine the level of awareness growing with one little initiative
Exactly. Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
CEO saying that, let's give him exposure. And then suddenly now he's working for Ultraviolet.
These little initiatives are, what does wonders,
Yeah,
and it's really really important to not shy away from
absolutely.
talking about our people who have Down syndromes in the society openly.
Yeah.
There's a question from a parent. Beyond the challenges, what has been most fulfilling moment in this journey? So probably one moment that has been really fulfilling for you in this journey.
Uh, wow, there's too many.
How would
There's
you
too
choose
many. I
one?
think I'll start with the first one. I think I'll always look at the first one,
Hmm.
where like Jijo painted something with a brush pen
Right.
when he so okay, there was a time, so Jijo had a question about, Dabai has gone to high school, When will
Mm-hmm.
I go there? And the next question is, Dabhai has gone to design school. When will I go there? So I also have to go to NID. So I used to tell him that, see, NID is, I mean, they're teaching things in our way, but you don't have to worry. I mean, anyways, teaching you everything that NID is teaching. No, you are equal,
Yeah, yeah.
become equally good.
Equivalent, yeah.
Yeah. Then in between, there was a point where I was in Ahmedabad for a brief period near NID, and I was sort of utilizing the studio there for building my portfolio.
Right.
And uh, when I was done, I thought of Jijo, come. Let's. I mean, I'm going to pack up and now come back to Bangalore. So why don't you come and you come visit NID? It's Monsoon Fiesta. So everyone knows you over here, and you've spoken to them online and blah blah. So
Yeah.
let's. You come here. We spend a week over here, and then we'll pack up and leave. So I think there's a video on YouTube about it on his visit to NID, and over there I saw what exposure can do. He walked into the college like it's like he's an alumni,
He
because
belongs there already.
he belongs there.
Yeah.
There was nothing like, I would be more shy if I
Mm-hmm.
walked into my elder brother's college and I'd
Right.
be like, okay, people are looking at me. What, I don't belong here. How do I introduce myself? He just walks in, and the thing is, because everyone who knows me knows him. Like, hey, Jijo, what's up? Come here. And there's a place called Chai Gate where they're sitting and sipping tea. Someone's having a smoke or whatever. It's like, for
Right.
me, it's normal. It's like, yeah, this is where I chill. So then he goes in, and then there's Monsoon Fiesta happening. The first years are like making large posters, and there's industrial design versus visual communication, and all of this going on. And he goes in, and he's just completely overloaded with the amount of art he's seeing. There are like 6 foot, 10 foot long posters and stuff like that. So he's absorbing all of this, and then he's like, Dabai, I want to sketch. So he's like, okay, we'll go to the product design studio, or we'll go to the graphic design
Right.
studio.
Right. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
goes over there and he makes something with a brush pen, which blows my mind. Okay. And I'm like, this wouldn't have happened with him sitting at home, because he's
Definitely.
gone
Yeah.
through people's sketchbooks. Because now suddenly the food that he was longing for so long is suddenly served to him, not through the internet, but through live sketches, but
Mm-hmm.
meeting people, real people who are doing these things. He's sitting and observing them, and suddenly this thing happens. And that, I keep it as a piece of art, um, which is what we used for the Down Syndrome International competition. It was an international design competition for World Down Syndrome Day in 2019,
Right. Yeah.
where you have to. They always have a competition where you design the graphics on the socks, the
Mm-hmm.
mismatched socks,
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah. Yeah.
you can spread awareness. And this is applicable for people with Down syndrome from all over the world. So I said, yeah, Jijo, I think we have a great illustration. You want to put it on the sock? So he put on the sock in the way he liked it, and he
Right.
sent it, and he won the competition. He was the first. That is his first international competition that he won in the first go. And we saw the reaction from people from all around the world. It was produced in Europe and it was sold around the world. We saw fake ones of that emerging from different parts of the world as well, which was not officially manufactured by
Right.
Down
The
International in the
copies.
UK. But imitation is the best form of flattery, and like, I understand that
Yeah.
what
It
that
is.
is. And then 2020 itself also, they use the same sock. Um, and it was like, that was like, that was, I think, a huge milestone where I realized that that is the value of exposure.
Right.
That he's created a piece of art which in itself is beautiful, and then it helped him achieve and make a name for himself internationally for that. And then there were so many interviews that followed, and where people were so appreciative of not just that little brush pen thing on the sock, but what it actually was when you just have it in
Mm-hmm.
A3 sheet. So yeah, that I guess would answer the question.
Thank you for that beautiful memories that you shared with us. We would be ending the session because we don't have more questions, but I would like you to give one piece of advice to caregivers or siblings in particular, who want to support their loved ones, explore their talents. So one particular piece of advice, if you want to share.
Sure. I think um, there is something, I mean, that I would put it into two parts. One is the, like, going in accordance to improve our support systems, which is the plea to the government for on in context of World Down Syndrome Day this year. That is the vision, that is the message they want to spread across.
Right.
uh, it like, let's look at what the government or what society can do. I mean, society is already doing. I think I've spoken of enough examples where a support system, however little, what massive benefits it has, where a
Right.
company
Mm.
and Jijo can mutually benefit from each other. But how can the government learn from this and put in support systems which are a part of their policy? Like, for example, like, I'm talking about this before I give any sort of advice or help to
Mm-hmm.
caregivers, is because this at the ground level would make a huge difference.
Huge difference,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if and the rest of the advice or any suggestion that I would have for people is how to deal with the situation right now. So ideally, uh, in a not so ideal world, this is a very realistic thing. If kindergarten started with people of different kinds in the same place, where all they are learning is little life skills and learning to interact,
Right.
where
Yeah.
till a point where they are now starting with ABCDs, or they are doing numbers, that then the differentiation happens, that okay, there is this person, because of this condition he will go into special education now, while this person will go into the first standard.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time the child who has grown up, his first day of school, his or her first day of school, till the point where he goes into junior school, he or she has already interacted with people with special needs. He already understands that there are
Right.
people
Yeah.
like this, right? And imagine the amount of support systems that you're actually carving in the whole classroom, because the bonds that are made in kindergarten, they're very special bonds, because they're the first friend you make, right? And when you
Right.
see that your
Yeah.
friend is having a difficulty, but you have so many memories of your friend helping you when no
Mm-hmm.
one else would understand your pain, and they understood because that is their superpower. So people are more accepting of, yeah, there is this kind of humans. They don't later in life discover, when they have a child,
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
oh, acha, Down syndrome is a thing, okay, cerebral palsy is a thing, autism is a thing. They don't discover it then, they discover it at the start of their journey in life. That will
Injecting
create,
acceptance at
yeah,
the base
yeah,
hierarchy. Yeah.
absolutely. That makes society more inclusive. People grow up knowing that, yeah, I could do this. I see that guy has an interest. I can do a little bit over here and help him or her, whatever, and then see what happens. So there's a constant support, and it is not about suddenly awareness coming in much later in life. I think that is the biggest drawback that we are facing in society today, is the awareness coming such later in life, and it's not part of basic education. When you're taught
Right.
about the
Yeah.
human body, when you're taught about the kind of people, why do these people not surface? Like, I had no idea what Down syndrome was till I had a brother, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that is not right. So yeah, but now coming, that is what would be the biggest plea to the government of what it means to improve our support systems by uh, redoing the curriculum on how someone starts education, because it's a
Right.
very big
Yeah.
part of education to know how many kinds of humans are in this world, right? And the other is for the caregivers. It's like, see, it's a simple thing that want if you see there is something that your child or your sibling is interested in, instead of finding a teacher to teach that, find yourself a teacher.
Find yourself. Yeah.
Find yourself a teacher, learn it, because you will learn it way faster. And because of your experience that no one else would have, no teacher can have and can never give, you will be able to teach it better
Mm-hmm.
to your sibling or your child than anyone in this world. You don't have to be educated as a teacher to do it. It will just become your innate ability, because you understand that human being inside
The
out
best. Yeah.
the best, right? So instead of depending on someone else to teach, yes, please take them for workshops, but make sure you're there. Make sure you are taking the notes like you are attending the workshop, and then coming back and reinforcing it uh, till it is becoming muscle memory for them. And if they are not interested, you will understand that and you'll be like, okay, we tried, it didn't happen, fine. Next time we'll see what else interests them.
What else can we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be the fill in the blanks because the world is not designed for them, it's designed for you. So, going by that logic, this kind of works itself out and gives you the best results. And I can vouch for it definitely because of what I've seen happen with Jijo, with
Yeah.
all the experimentations that are going on and continues to go on. So yeah, that is. I think that would be the biggest thing, biggest realization that I've had, which I would love to share with people, and I hope they also take this initiative because I get a lot of messages from different groups
Find me
asking
this, find
about,
me
oh,
that.
Jijo
Yeah.
achieved this. Whenever I share something, there are people who've personally DM me, messaged me about, hey, it's very nice, my brother also does this, my sister also does this, but there is no support. No one wants to teach. Which guy did you send him to? Please give me the contact
Mm-hmm.
details, and we'll also send our child or our sibling to that person. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. You should start sharing your contact details actually.
I can't. That's what I'm
That
saying.
would work.
Yeah,
Still,
of course.
that
I
would
wish I
work.
could. I wish I could. Like teach a whole classroom. But the
Yeah.
more I teach Jijo, the more understanding. Like every day, I learn a little bit more about him. I realize
Yeah.
that if he's 26, 27, um, this long. I mean, I took this long for me to understand him this much. Then I would be doing injustice if I'm telling someone that
True.
I can teach
Yeah.
someone in like 15 minutes or 2 days of interaction.
Exactly. I believe that sums up our discussions actually. Thank you so much, Anikinda, for joining us. I learned immensely from this session. We have had calls before this, but then this session had so many things that you brought out about, it changed my perspective a little bit about how we look at education and how we look at skill building in a particular person with the kind of, documents that you shared that you built for Jijo and with Jijo it actually made certain changes, and I certainly believe the people who have watched us, the caregivers and the siblings, whoever has have watched us, this session has had an impact on them. Um, so thank you so much again. I have linked Art of My Optimus account in the chat box, and I would request everybody who is watching us to certainly go and follow the page of Chichoda. And if you have any other queries, any other questions, the Nayi Disha helpline, free helpline is available for you on 844-844-8996. Do call up and ask whatever queries you have. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.
Most
Thank you,
welcome.
Aniketa.
Most
Bye
welcome.
bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.